Jack Hudson stared at the message on his screen and sighed. Another acquisition job. The blue glow of the computer lit up his small office in the Frontier Acquisitions Corp building. Outside his window, the lights of New Chicago blinked in the evening sky. His desk was messy with coffee cups and old reports. "Hudson, got a minute?" Diane Miller appeared at his door. She was his supervisor, always dressed in perfect corporate suits and with her red hair pulled back tight. "Just reading." "The new assignment," Jack said. He ran a hand through his brown hair, which needed a cut. At 42, Jack had spent 15 years as a corporate trader. He was good at finding things people wanted and bringing them back for a price. "This one's important," Diane said. She walked in and closed the door. "The client is paying triple our usual rate. The package is on New Harmony Colony. You leave tomorrow." Jack nodded. New Harmony was a border colony, 3 days' travel by fast ship. "What's the package?" Diane handed him a data chip. "Exotic assets. Living specimens. All the details are here. The client wants them delivered in 1 week." When Diane left, Jack plugged in the chip. The screen showed pictures of aliens he recognized as Virith. They had blue-green skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and thin bodies with 6-fingered hands. The Virith were a new species humans had found 5 years ago. Their world had been torn apart by civil war. The file said the assets were a female and her child. The female's mate had been a scientist with valuable knowledge. The corporation thought the child might have special genetic traits worth studying. Jack frowned. He had transported alien artifacts, plants, and materials before. Sometimes even living creatures for zoos or research. But a mother and child? It felt wrong. Still, the payment was good. And jobs like this had paid for his small apartment and his sister's medical treatments back on Earth. The next morning, Jack packed his bag and boarded his ship, the Stardust. It was a small trading vessel, 15 years old but well-maintained. Jack had added personal touches over the years' real paper books on shelves. A plant from his home state of Michigan, pictures of places he had visited. "Computer, set course for New Harmony Colony," Jack said as he settled into the pilot's chair. "Course set," the computer replied in a female voice. "Estimated arrival, 73 hours. During the journey, Jack read more about the Virith. They were a peaceful species before the war, with advanced technology and beautiful art. The file mentioned that the female, named Neela, had been a historian. Her mate had worked on environmental repair technology before he died in a bombing. On the 3rd day, the Stardust approached New Harmony. From orbit, Jack could see the colony was not living up to its name. It had been built quickly after Earth's 3rd population boom, but funding had dried up. Now it was mostly a trading post and refueling station for ships heading to the outer colonies. Jack landed at the main port and arranged to meet the local contact, a man named Alan Grant. The colony was dusty and crowded. People from a dozen Earth nations and a few alien species moved through the streets. The buildings were a mix of prefab units and newer structures, made from local materials. Grant was waiting at a bar called the Lost Settler. He wore a militia uniform with captain's bars and had a gun on his hip. His face was sunburned and rough. "You Hudson?" Grant asked when Jack sat down. "That's me. You have the package?" Grant smiled, showing yellow teeth. "Oh yeah. Caught them when we stopped a refugee transport last month. Been keeping them in the holding cells. The company contacted me right away when they found out what I had." Jack felt uneasy. "How did you know who they were?" The female had data storage devices. With her mate's research. Tried to hide them, but my men are thorough. Grant drank from a glass of amber liquid. "Valuable stuff. Your company is paying me well. but I bet they'll make 10 times that from what's in the kid's DNA. Take me to them, Jack said. The holding facility was at the edge of the colony, a plain building with small windows and armed guards. Inside, the air was stale and smelled of too many different species kept in close quarters. Grant led Jack to a cell at the end of a corridor. Inside were 2 figures sitting on a narrow bed. The female Virith was taller than Jack had expected, nearly 7 feet, but very thin. Her skin had a dull blue-green color that Jack guessed meant poor health. Her 4 eyes looked up when the tsing door opened. The child beside her couldn't have been more than the equivalent of 7 Earth years, small and frightened. Here they are, Grant said. The merchandise. The female spoke, her voice coming through a translator device on her wrist. Please, we have done nothing wrong. We seek only asylum. Jack felt something twist in his stomach. In all his years of trading, he had told himself he never dealt in suffering. He found rare objects, exotic materials, things that clients wanted but weren't harmful to collect. This was different. The deal was 500,000 credits, Grant said, ignoring the alien's words. Jack transferred the money from his company account. He had the authority for transactions up to 1 million credits. They're all yours, Grant said. The ship they were on was headed to Sanctuary Station. Lots of refugee types there. Bleeding hearts. He laughed. Your client must have other ideas. Jack looked at the aliens again. The child was hiding behind its mother, only 2 of its 4 eyes peeking out. Those eyes were deep purple, filled with intelligence and fear. Do they have any belongings? Jack asked. Just this. Grant handed over a small bag. Some data devices, clothing, and whatever passes for personal items with their kind. Jack took the bag. I'll need travel documents showing legal transfer. Grant nodded. Already prepared. Your company has good lawyers. An hour later, Jack led the aliens through the spaceport to his ship. The female walked with dignity despite the stares of humans and other species. The child stayed close to her, sometimes making soft clicking sounds that Jack guessed were their language dot at the stardust. Jack showed them to the small passenger cabin. It had been designed for human travelers, but it would have to do. You'll stay here during the journey, Jack said. It's 3 days to the rendezvous point. The female looked at him with all 4 eyes. What will happen to us there? Jack had been told not to engage too much with the merchandise, not to see them as people. But looking at the mother and child, he couldn't help himself. I don't know, he admitted. I'm just the delivery man. My name is Neela, she said. My child is Taz. My mate was Vrel, a scientist. He died protecting his work from those who would use it for destruction. Jack nodded. I'm Jack Hudson. As he left them in the cabin, Jack felt the weight of what he was doing. He had 1 week to deliver Neela and Taz to Earth, where they would become research subjects, maybe separated. 1 week to decide if he could live with that dot back in the pilot's chair. Jack started the launch sequence. The stardust lifted off. From New Harmony, rising into the stars. Behind him, somewhere in the ship, a mother held her child and waited to learn their fate. The stardust moved through space, its engines humming quietly. Jack sat in the galley, a small kitchen area where he ate his meals. He pushed his food around on his plate. He wasn't hungry, Dot. It had been 2 days since they left New Harmony. 2 days with Neela and Taz on his ship. 2 days of trying not to think about what would happen to them. The door slid open, and Neela entered. She had to duck her tall frame to fit through the human-sized doorway. Her 4 eyes blinked in the yaw, bright light of the galley. May I speak with you? She asked. Her translator device made her voice sound flat, but Jack could hear the worry behind it. Sure, Jack said. He pointed to the chair across from him. Are you hungry? A food synthesizer can make something for you. Neela sat down carefully on the small chair. We have eaten. Thank you. She placed her 6-fingered hands on the table. My child asks where we are going. I do not know what to tell Taz. Jack looked down at his cold food. The company had told him to say as little as possible to the assets. Just keep them calm until delivery. We're heading to Earth, he said finally, to meet the client who paid for your ... acquisition. And what will this client do with us? Neela's upper set of eyes narrowed, while her lower set watched Jack carefully. Jack thought about lying. It would be easier. But something in those 4 eyes made him tell the truth. The client is a research corporation. They're interested in your mate's work and in your child's genetic makeup. He couldn't meet her gaze. I don't know exactly what. They plan, but it will probably involve tests, studies. Neela was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was soft. My mate, Vrel, gave his life to keep his research from those who would misuse it. He developed methods to heal ecosystems damaged by war, but others wanted to use it to create weapons. Jack looked up at her. What kind of weapons? His work could change plant life at the cellular level, make barren places grow food again. Her voice grew sad. Or it could be changed to make plants produce toxins, destroy food sources, create famine. Jack thought about the data storage devices Grant had mentioned. You have his research with you? Neela nodded. Hidden. Protected. I promised Vrel I would take it to those who would use it for good. She looked at Jack with all 4 eyes. And Taz, my child has a rare genetic trait. Taz can interface mentally with technology in ways even our scientists don't fully understand. My mate feared what would happen if the wrong people discovered this ability. Jack understood now why the client was paying so much. They weren't just buying refugees. They were buying valuable biological technology and a child with unique abilities. The ship's computer interrupted. Incoming message from Frontier Acquisitions Corp. Jack stood up. I need to take this. We'll talk more later. He walked quickly to the bridge and closed the door before accepting the call. Diane Miller's face appeared on the screen. Hudson status report. On schedule, Jack said. 3 more days to Earth. Diane smiled. Good. The client is very eager. They've added another 100,000 to your bonus if you arrive early. The package is delicate, Jack said carefully. I don't want to rush and cause any damage. Diane's smile faded. Just remember, Hudson, this is business. The biggest deal of your career. Don't get soft. After the call ended, Jack sat staring at the stars through the view screen. He had been with the company for 15 years. The money from this job would let him buy a better apartment, maybe even a house. He could help his sister more with her medical bills. All he had to do was deliver a widow and her child to people who would treat them like lab specimens. Jack heard a small sound and turned around. Taz stood in the doorway of the bridge, looking at him with curious purple eyes. The child was about 3 feet tall, with lighter blue-green skin than Neela. Hello, Jack said awkwardly. He had avoided the child until now. Taz came closer, looking at all the controls and screens. The child reached out a 6-fingered hand toward the navigation panel, but didn't touch it. You can look, Jack said. Just don't press anything. Taz moved closer to the panel. The screen suddenly changed, showing different star maps than before. Jack jumped up. What did you do? He asked. Taz stepped back, making a soft clicking sound that the translator didn't pick up. Neela appeared in the doorway. Taz didn't touch anything, she said. My child can sometimes connect with technology just by being near it. It is the ability I told you about. Jack looked at the navigation panel, then at the child. That's impressive. Taz made more clicking sounds, and Neela translated. My child says your ship is sad. It has a damaged memory core in Section 3. Jack stared at them. The ship had been having small computer glitches for weeks. He had planned to check the memory cores when they reached Earth, but he hadn't told anyone about the problem. How could Taz know that? He asked. The ability, Neela said simply. Taz feels the pain of machines. It is why those who know of this would want to study my child. Imagine controlling ships, weapons, or networks with only a thought. Jack looked at the small alien child who could talk to machines. He thought about what would happen if the research corporation got their hands on Taz. They would turn a gift into a weapon. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He went to the bridge and checked their course to Earth. 5 more days, counting the stop at the Sol checkpoint. 5 days until he had to hand over Neela and Taz. He pulled up his contract on the screen and read it carefully. It specified delivery of exotic assets to the client at the agreed location. But there was nothing that said he had to make the delivery himself. Nothing that prevented him from changing course. Jack thought about what would happen if he didn't deliver. The company would be angry. He would lose his job, his bonus, maybe worse. The corporation had people everywhere. They could make him disappear, if they wanted to. But if he did deliver Neela and Taz, he would have to live with that choice forever. As the stars moved slowly past the view screen, Jack made his decision. He began to plan a new course away from Earth and toward the outer colonies, where corporate influence was weaker. He would need help, supplies, a place to hide. Jack sent a coded message to an old friend in the belt, someone who had left corporate life years ago, someone who might help them disappear. When morning came, ship time, Jack went to find Neela and Taz. He found them in their small cabin. Neela was teaching Taz something using patterns of light from her 6 fingers. We need to talk, Jack said. I'm not taking you to Earth. Neela stared at Jack with all 4 eyes wide. Not to Earth? Where then? Jack sat down on the small bed in the cabin. I have a friend in the Belt colonies. Sam Carter runs a shipping business there. He might help us. Us? Neela's voice was careful, unsure. Yes, us. I can't take you to that research facility. Jack ran a hand through his hair. But I need to be honest with you. This won't be easy. My company will come looking for us when we don't show up. Taz moved closer to Jack and made a series of clicks and soft whistles. Neela translated. My child asks if you will be in danger because of us. Jack nodded. Probably. But I've made my choice. He stood up. I've changed our course. We'll stop at Ceres Station for fuel, then head to the outer colonies. Neela stood as well, her tall frame making the small cabin feel even smaller. Thank you, Jack Hudson. You risk much for strangers. You're not cargo, Jack said simply. Now we need to prepare. We have about 12 hours before the company expects a routine check-in. When I don't send it, they'll know something is wrong. For the next few hours, Jack worked to cover their tracks. He disabled the ship's tracking beacon and used an old trick to mask their engine signature. It wouldn't fool the company forever, but it might buy them time. Taz helped. The child's strange ability, letting them access ship systems Jack couldn't reach alone. Together, they changed security codes and rerouted communications. Your child is amazing, Jack said to Neela as they watched Taz seemingly communicate with the ship's computer just by touching a screen. On our world before the war, Taz would have trained with our technology masters, Neela said. Now, this gift makes my child a target. Jack received a reply from his friend Sam. It was short, risky. Come anyway. We'll help. As they approached Ceres Station, Jack felt nervous. This was the last major port before the deep space crossing to the outer colonies. If the company had figured out his plan, they might have people waiting. "We need supplies," Jack told Neela. "But it's not safe for you to leave the ship. I'll go alone." The station was busy, a spinning wheel of metal and light in the darkness. Of space, ships of all sizes docked at its ports. Miners, traders, and colonists moved through its crowded corridors. Jack kept his head down as he bought fuel and supplies. He paid extra for a fast loading service, wanting to leave as quickly as possible. At a public terminal, he sent a message to Sam with their estimated arrival time dot. As Jack headed back to the docking bay, he noticed a woman watching him. She wore civilian clothes, but something about her posture seemed military. When she touched her ear, speaking quietly into a COM device, Jack knew he was in trouble. He started walking faster, taking a side corridor to circle back to his ship. But as he turned a corner, two men blocked his path. "Jack Hudson?" one asked. Jack didn't answer. He turned to run, but found the woman from earlier behind him. "Mr. Hudson," she said, "I'm Eliza Wright from Frontier Acquisitions. You've taken property. We need to discuss this." Jack looked for an escape route, but they had him surrounded. "I don't know what you're talking about." Eliza smiled, but her eyes were cold. "The Virith female and child, worth quite a lot to our client. Hand them over, and perhaps we can forget this happened." "They're not property," Jack said. "They're people." "They're assets," Eliza corrected. "And you're stealing from the company." One of the men moved toward Jack, reaching for something in his jacket. Jack didn't wait to see what it was. He threw the bag of supplies at the man and ran, pushing past the other guard. Shouts followed him as he sprinted through the station. A loud bang echoed off the metal walls, and people screamed and ducked. Jack felt something burn along his arm. They were shooting at him. He zigzagged through the crowd, trying to reach his ship. Pain flared in his arm, but he kept moving. If they caught him, Neela and Taz would be taken. Jack reached the docking bay and ran toward the Stardust. The ship's engines were already running. Neela must have heard the commotion and prepared for a quick departure got as Jack reached the boarding ramp. Another shot rang out. This time, fire exploded in his side. He stumbled but kept going, dragging himself into the ship. The ramp closed behind him. "Go," he shouted toward the bridge. "Take off now." The ship lurched as it disconnected from the station. Jack fell to the floor, pressing his hand against his side. It came away red with blood. Taz found him first, the child's purple eyes growing large at the sight of Jack's blood. The young Virith ran to get Neela. Jack tried to stand but couldn't. The world was starting to spin around him. He heard alarms as the ship accelerated away from the station, probably pursued by company security. Neela appeared, kneeling beside him. "You are injured." "Just a scratch," Jack tried to joke, but his voice was weak. Neela examined the wound. "The weapon burned through your clothing and skin. You are losing blood." She helped Jack to his feet and half-carried him to the medical bay, a small room with basic equipment. Jack had never used it before, except for minor cuts. "Do you know how to treat human injuries?" Jack asked as she helped him onto the narrow bed. "Not fully," Neela admitted. "But Virith bodies are not so different in some ways." She began to clean the wound. "On my world, I helped in healing centers during the war." Jack winced as she worked. "The ship. We need to outrun them." "Taz is helping," Neela said. "Your friend sent coordinates for a safe route. My child is making the ship. Follow them." Jack closed his eyes as pain washed over him. He heard Neela moving around, preparing something. When he opened his eyes, she was holding a small jar from her own belongings. "This is a Virith healing paste," she explained. "It may help close your wound." The paste burned when she applied it, making Jack gasp. But soon after, a cooling sensation spread through his injured side. Rest now, Neela said. We will watch over the ship. Jack wanted to protest, to say he needed to help, but his body betrayed him. Exhaustion and pain pulled him into darkness. He dreamed of Earth, of his small apartment, of his sister. He dreamed of Diane Miller telling him he was fired, of Eliza Wright chasing him through endless station corridors. When Jack woke, the ship was quiet. A pain in his side had dulled to a throb. He touched the wound and found it covered with a strange blue material. It felt cool to the touch. Taz sat in a chair beside the bed, watching him with curious eyes. The child made a series of clicks that Jack couldn't understand without Neela to translate. Thank you for watching over me, Jack said, guessing at the meaning. Taz reached out and touched Jack's hand with 6 small fingers. The touch was gentle. Careful. Jack knew then that no matter what happened, no matter what the company did to him, he had made the right choice. Neela and Taz weren't cargo to be sold. They were his responsibility now. Somehow, he would find them a safe place. A home. 3 days passed as the Stardust traveled through the emptiness of space between the belt and the outer colonies. Jack's wound was healing well, thanks to Neela's strange blue medicine. He could walk again, though his side still hurt when he moved too quickly. We're approaching Haven, Jack announced as he checked the navigation screen. Haven was an old mining colony on a small moon. It had been abandoned by the big companies when the easy minerals ran out, but people still lived there. People who wanted to be left alone. Neela stood beside him on the bridge, her tall form casting a shadow over the controls. Will your friend meet us there? Jack nodded. Sam said he has contacts on Haven, people who might help us. The colony came into view on the screen. It wasn't much to look at, a collection of domes and tunnels built into the side of a crater. Old mining equipment sat abandoned on the gray surface. But lights glowed in the windows, showing that life continued here, far from Earth and company control. Stardust, this is Haven Control. A voice crackled over the comm. Identify yourself and state your business. This is Jack Hudson, trader. I'm here to meet Sam Carter. There was a pause. Confirmed, Hudson. You're expected. Proceed to landing. Pad 3. Sending coordinates now. Jack guided the ship down to the small landing area. As they descended, he could see people moving around the colony, going about their daily work. Some looked up at the approaching ship with curious eyes. Remember, Jack told Neela and Taz as they prepared to leave the ship, stay close to me. Haven isn't dangerous exactly, but it's not Earth. Rules are different here. Taz made a series of clicks that Jack had started to recognize as excitement. In the days since their escape, he had begun to pick up some of the Virith language, just as Taz was learning more human words. When the ship's door opened, cold air rushed in. Haven's artificial atmosphere was breathable but chilly. A man stood, waiting for them, tall and broad, with a thick beard and weathered skin. Jack Hudson, the man said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. You look terrible. Good to see you too, Sam, Jack replied, stepping forward to shake his old friend's hand. Thanks for the welcome. Sam Carter had once been a company man like Jack. Now he ran his own small shipping business in the outer colonies, sometimes bending rules to get things done. His eyes moved to Neela and Taz, widening slightly at the sight of the aliens. So, these are the passengers worth risking your neck for, Sam said quietly. Come on, best not to stand in the open. He led them through the colony's main dome to a smaller structure built against the rock wall. Inside was warm and surprisingly comfortable, with furniture made from recycled ship parts and colored lights that gave the place a homey feel. Welcome to my humble home away from home, Sam said, gesturing for them to sit. Now, tell me exactly what kind of trouble you're in. Jack explained everything: the job, the decision to help Neela and Taz escape, the confrontation at Ceres Station. Sam listened without interrupting, his face growing more serious with each detail. Frontier Acquisitions doesn't give up easily, Sam said when Jack finished, especially not when there's big money involved. He looked at Neela. No offense, but what makes you so valuable to them? Neela hesitated, then reached into the small bag she carried. She pulled out a data device and placed it on the table. My mate's research, she said. It can heal worlds destroyed by war, make barren soil fertile again. She placed a hand gently on Taz's head. And my child has a rare ability to connect with technology. Both would be valuable to those who seek power. Sam whistled low. That explains the price on your heads. He turned to Jack. They've put out a bounty. 50,000 credits for information. Twice that for capture. Jack felt his stomach tighten. How many people know we're here? Just me. And the colony leader, Dr. Linda Foster. She runs Haven, and she hates the big corporations as much as anyone. Sam stood up. Speaking of which, she wants to meet you. All of you. They followed Sam through a series of tunnels carved into the moon's rock. Haven was bigger below ground than it appeared from above. People lived and worked in these tunnels, growing food in hydroponic gardens, maintaining the life support systems. Building a community away from Earth's control. Dr. Foster's office was small but neat. She was an older woman with silver hair cut short and sharp eyes that missed nothing. When they entered, she was studying something on a screen. So you're the ones causing all the fuss, she said, looking up at them. Her eyes lingered on Neela, and Taz with scientific curiosity rather than fear. Sam tells me you need sanctuary. Yes, Jack said. We need a place to hide, at least until we figure out what to do next. Dr. Foster stood and walked around her desk to get a better look at Taz. Sam mentioned that this child has an unusual ability, something about connecting with technology. Neela moved slightly, positioning herself between Dr. Foster and Taz. My child is not a research subject. Dr. Foster's expression softened. I understand your caution. Many of us came to Haven to escape being treated as subjects rather than people. She stepped back. But I need to know what we're dealing with. Frontier Acquisitions has resources. If they find you here, all of Haven could be at risk. Jack stepped forward. We don't want to bring trouble to your colony. If you can't help us, we'll leave. I didn't say that, Dr. Foster replied. Haven was built as a place of refuge. But we survive by staying hidden, keeping our heads down. She turned to Neela. Would you be willing to share your mate's research with us? Not to take it from you, but to help protect it. And perhaps to learn from it? Neela was quiet for a moment, considering. Then she nodded. If you will help us, I will share what I can. Dr. Foster smiled for the first time. Good. Now, about your child's ability, I don't want to study Taz, but I do need to understand what we're protecting. Before Neela could answer, Taz stepped forward and approached a control panel on the wall. The child placed 6 small fingers against the screen. Immediately, the lights in the room changed color, cycling through a rainbow of hues before returning to normal. Dr. Foster's eyes widened. Remarkable. Direct neural interface without any visible technology. Taz can feel machines, Jack explained. Their pain, their needs. Your colony's systems are old, struggling in places. Dr. Foster looked thoughtful. Our life support systems have been giving us trouble. Parts are hard to get out here. She knelt down to Taz's level. Would you like to help us make our home work better? Taz made a series of happy clicks that needed no translation. You can stay, Dr. Foster decided, standing up. We'll find you quarters, and you can work with our technical team. She looked at Jack, but we need to prepare. If Frontier Acquisitions tracks you here, we must be ready. Sam, who had been quiet, spoke up. My sources say they've sent Eliza Reich after you. She's their top recovery specialist, and she doesn't give up. Jack touched his side where the wound was still healing. I've met her. She's already shown she's willing to use force. Dr. Foster's face hardened. Then we'll need to be ready to defend ourselves. Peter Ross handles our security. I'll have him work with you on a defense plan. As they left Dr. Foster's office, Jack felt both relief and worry. They had found a place to stay, people willing to help them. But they had also brought danger to Haven. If Eliza Wright found them here, everyone in the colony could suffer. Neela seemed to sense his thoughts. We can leave if you wish. Find another place. Jack shook his head. No more running. It's time to make a stand. He watched as Taz walked ahead of them, already examining the colony systems with curious eyes. Besides, I think we might have found a place where you both can do some good. For the first time since leaving Earth, Jack felt like they might have a chance, not just to survive, but to build something new. A life, a home. A month passed in Haven. Jack worked with Peter Ross, the colony security chief, to prepare for the company's arrival. They knew it was only a matter of time before Eliza Wright found them. Neela shared her mate's research with Dr. Foster and the colony's scientists. They were amazed by Vrel's work on healing damaged ecosystems. Already they were testing some of his methods in Haven's hydroponic gardens, growing food in soil that had once been dead. Taz became a favorite among the colonists. The child's ability to communicate with machines helped fix problems in Havens. Aging systems, life support worked better. Power flowed more efficiently. Even the water recycling system improved under Taz's gentle touch. Jack sat in the small quarters they had been given, watching through the window as people moved about the colony. For the first time in years, he felt like he was doing something. That nattered dot, there was a knock at the door. Sam entered, his face serious. They found us, he said without greeting. One of my pilots just returned from the belt. A company ship followed him part of the way. They'll be here within hours. Jack stood up. How many? One main ship. Probably Eliza and her team. No more than 10 people. Sam's voice was grim. But they'll be well armed, Jack nodded. Tell Ross to activate the defense plan. I'll find Neela. And Taz. They had prepared for this. The colony's old mining tunnels provided places to hide the most vulnerable residents. The surface buildings had been reinforced. Ross had even repurposed some mining equipment into makeshift defenses. Jack found Neela and Taz in the technology center, where they had spent most of their time. Neela was recording her people's history and knowledge, creating an archive that fascinated the human scientists. Taz was working with the colony's main computer system, the child's hands moving gently over the control panels. They're coming, Jack said simply. Neela's 4 eyes blinked in understanding. She gathered her data devices. The secure room is ready? Jack nodded. They had prepared a protected place deep in the tunnels where Neela's research would be safe, along with the colony's most important data. Taz should go with you. Taz made a series of clicks and whistles, more complex than usual. Neela listened, then turned to Jack. My child says no. Taz wants to help defend the colony. Jack knelt down to look at Taz directly. It's dangerous. These people won't hesitate to hurt you to get what they want. Taz's purple eyes were determined. The child pointed to the main computer, then to the security systems, then made a series of quick gestures. Neela translated. Taz says the machines will help protect us, but they need guidance. My child can connect them, make them work together in ways your people cannot. Jack looked at Taz with new understanding. The child wasn't just able to communicate with individual systems. Taz could link them, create a network that might give them an advantage. All right, Jack agreed reluctantly. But you stay in the central control room with Dr. Foster. No going near the fighting. 3 hours later, they spotted the company. Ship approaching. It was larger than the Stardust, built for speed and equipped with weapons that a simple trading vessel wouldn't have. Jack stood with Ross and Sam in the colony's control center, watching the monitors. Taz sat at the main console, six-fingered, hands lightly touching the surface. Neela stood protectively behind her child. They're hailing us, Ross said. Dr. Foster nodded. Answer it. Eliza Wright's face appeared on the screen. She looked calm, professional. This is Eliza Wright of Frontier Acquisitions Corp. We know you're harboring stolen company property, specifically Virith specimens acquired by Jack Hudson. Return them immediately, and we'll leave your colony in peace. Dr. Foster stepped forward. This is Dr. Linda Foster, administrator of Haven Colony. We have no property here. Only people under our protection. Eliza's expression hardened. Don't play games, Doctor. The female and child are valuable assets that belong to my client. Hand them over, along with Hudson, and this ends peacefully. And if we refuse? Dr. Foster asked. Then we'll be forced to retrieve them ourselves. Eliza's voice was cold. You have 30 minutes to decide. The screen went dark. They'll attack no matter what we decide, Ross said. They just want us to waste time talking. Jack nodded. Get everyone to their positions. Taz, are you ready? The child made a confident clicking sound and touched the control panel again. Around the colony, lights flickered as Taz connected with all of Haven's systems at once. 20 minutes later, the company ship landed outside the main dome. Eliza emerged with 6 armed men. They approached the main airlock, weapons ready. Last chance, Hudson. Eliza called over the comm. Send out the aliens, and maybe you'll live through. This, Jack didn't respond. He watched from a security monitor as Eliza signaled her men to breach the airlock. The moment they tried to override the door controls, Taz's plan went into action. The colony's systems designed by Taz and the tech team over the past month activated. At once, old mining drones rose from storage areas surrounding the company team. Lights blinded them from unexpected angles. The colony's external speakers blared with deafening noise. Even their own comm systems turned against them, filling their earpieces with static. Confusion spread among Eliza's team. They fired wildly, hitting nothing. 2 of the men retreated to the ship. Jack turned to Sam. Now, send the message. Sam activated a special transmitter they had prepared. It sent a tight beam transmission directly to Earth, bypassing the normal communication channels. The message contained everything evidence of the illegal capture of Neela and Taz by Alan Grant, proof of the company's plan to experiment on them, and records of Eliza's violent actions at Ceres Station. Most importantly, it included selected parts of Rel's research enough to show its potential for healing war-torn worlds, but not the dangerous parts that could be weaponized. This went to major news organizations, government officials, and rival corporations who might prevent Frontier Acquisitions from retaliating. Outside, Eliza realized she was outmatched. Her team retreated to their ship under the harassment of Vi. The colony's automated defenses, all guided by Taz's unique ability. They're leaving, Ross announced as the company ship lifted off, but Jack shook his head. They'll be back with more people, more weapons. Perhaps not, Dr. Foster said, checking another screen. Our transmission was received. It's already hitting the news networks on Earth. The government is opening an investigation into Frontier Acquisitions. Jack looked at Neela and Taz. It might not be enough to keep you safe forever. Nothing is forever, Neela said, but it is enough for now. She placed a hand on Taz's shoulder. My child has found purpose here, and I have found hope again. 3 years passed. The investigation into Frontier acquisitions led to charges against several executives, including Diane Miller. Alan Grant lost his position on New Harmony. Eliza Wright disappeared, probably hired by another corporation for her skills. The publicity around the case led to new laws protecting refugee species like the Virith. Haven Colony became known as a sanctuary and first contact training facility, with Jack serving as a liaison between humans and aliens. Jack stood outside a small house built on the edge of Haven's main dome. Through the window, he could see Neela. Working with Dr. Foster, their research having created a new type of garden that grew in Haven's poor soil. Taz, taller now, but still a child by Virith standards, was teaching a group of children, both human and alien, how to communicate with. Machines. Sam walked up beside him. Ever miss Earth? Jack shook his head. Not really. This is home now. He thought about the choice he had made years ago when he decided not to deliver his cargo as ordered. It had cost him his career, his savings, and nearly his life. But as he watched Neela and Taz, now part of a community that valued them for who they were, not what they could provide, he knew he would make the same choice again. He had been told to sell them. Instead, he had found them a home, and in doing so found one for himself as well.